Residents still trying to learn the impact of years of battery burns in the Piqua area. Now, this is after the company responsible for those burns announced it would leave the area. Lydia Bice been following the story for weeks. Live in studio, what are people telling you about this?
Well, Adam, they are pleased to see ESRG go, but they say that it's not time to celebrate just yet. Alicia Lang told me today that it's hard for her and fellow residents to be excited when there are still so many questions left unanswered. Piqua residents still don't know how many lithium-ion batteries were burned at this facility in the last 5 years or what cleanup efforts will look like.
Personally, I would like to see action taken at the state level. I would like to see people in here and testing our water and our soil. I would like to see people take moss off of the trees, test that.
And there's obviously concerns about health issues after all these years of burns, right?
Yeah, Adam, that's right. Residents are not only concerned about their health, but also the environment in their city. Today, I took those concerns to Dr. Joseph Allen, Regional Medical Director with Premier Health, who told me that those concerns are valid and that now it's important for Piqua residents to monitor their health extra closely. Now, in the web version of this story on Dayton247now.com, I've included more from my interview with Dr. Allen about how he says these residents, and really anyone, can monitor symptoms and get ahead of cancer, lung cancer in particular. Back to you.
Lydia, thank you. An arrest has now been made in this weekend's deadly Harrison Township shooting. Deputies found 53-year-old John Barnett shot outside of an Ontario Avenue home yesterday. Investigators believe he was trying to de-escalate an argument between the suspected shooter and two others. That's when the suspect shot and killed Barnett in front of his two grandsons. Montgomery County Sheriff Rob Streck says the suspect has been on their radar for a while.
The suspect is well known in that area. Just for kind of being mischievous. There's not a lot of criminal charges. We're aware of him, but nothing like this.
Now, the suspect in this was booked into the jail. We're still waiting to learn his identity. Officers in Moraine responding to reports of shots being fired into a home on Cadillac Street this past Friday. And new into our newsroom, 911 calls.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
I need an officer, 2741 Cadillac Street. My house just got shot at. 2741 Cadillac Street, Ohio.
I heard, who is shooting at you?
I don't know.
Okay.
No idea, sir.
Now, thankfully, no one was hurt in this shooting. Now, initial reports say shots were fired from a vehicle that had passed the house. Under an hour later, two suspects were pulled over and arrested during a traffic stop. Another two were later arrested over the weekend for their alleged involvement. The case is still under investigation. A live look from the Miami Valley Jail's website. 35-year-old Johnny Pickens in the Montgomery County Jail. They're being accused of strangling his girlfriend and attacking a dog with a machete. This was back on September 14th. Now, he was indicted on charges including aggravated menacing and domestic violence. Pickens is being held on a $25,000 bond. He's expected to be back in court on Thursday. Well, this Dayton man has been found guilty in a double murder case from last year. Now, back in January of 2022, 54-year-old Derek Shaw Jr. shot and killed two people and injured another after a fight. Sentencing will take place on October 25th. Also, an arraignment hearing held today for one of the juveniles accused of being involved in last year's robbery of two Lyft drivers, along with the deadly shooting of one of them. 16-year-old Tylen Peaks was previously indicted on 17 charges, including murder and aggravated robbery. He's being tried as an adult. Peaks was 15 at the time of that crime. There is a new focus on school bus safety. The Ohio School Bus Safety Working Group met today for the second time to talk about more research that's been done on seatbelts on buses and crash data. Jenna Lee Bork found out how the group is working to make buses safer.
What we're hoping to see, seatbelts would be ideal, or some type of restraint or safety feature.
Governor Mike DeWine created the Ohio School Bus Safety Working Group to find out how safe school buses are and to figure out how to make them even safer after 11-year-old Aiden Clark was killed in a bus crash last month in Clark County. The group's second meeting was Monday, and they saw a presentation from the National Transportation Safety Board that recommends safety belts be used.
Large school buses are safer with properly worn passenger lap shoulder belts at all seating positions.
The question was raised as to whether seatbelts would trap children in seats during a crash. Other issues that came up were if they would fit children of various sizes and how easy they'd be for students to use.
In the crashes we've investigated, when we've looked at the real world outcomes, we've seen a benefit for the restraint systems.
Part of what goes into any safety enhancement decision is how much it will cost, but the Ohio PTA hopes that doesn't get in the way of action.
I would hope that it could be worked out that there could be safety features on school buses, and it can be, not so cost prohibitive for districts to choose that option.
And that was Jenna Lee Borick reporting. All right, so let's switch over to weather now. It's a different kind of day because we actually had clouds today. No rain, but, well, not really, but clouds.
Yeah, the little bit of precipitation that came from the sky was just a light drizzle to a mist. Trace of precipitation reported at the airport didn't add up to our 0.27 that we've seen so far for the month, but we did see a little precipitation, mid-60s, kind of a gloomy day. A little clearing back off west, keeping temperatures a little cooler, 55 in Richmond. Clouds still lingering over the area, and we'll continue to see those clouds start to clear as we head through the overnight hours. Next weather maker spinning over Minneapolis right now. You could actually see that counterclockwise spin. That's our next weather maker that will bring precipitation by the middle of this week. By late tomorrow, really into the day on Wednesday is when we're expecting most of that rain to be, but we're going to wake up to upper 50s tomorrow morning, cloudier skies, spot shower possible by the afternoon with temperatures in the upper 70s. So overall, not too bad of a day on the way for us, but I'll talk about those rain chances, how much we're expecting coming up in a bit.
New tonight, Huber Heights City Council has voted to approve the build of another out-of-state convenience store. The motion for Wawa's site passed 5-3 tonight, which means the nearly 6,000 square foot convenience store with 8 fueling pumps will be built on the corner of Old Troy Pike and Chambersburg Road. This will be the first one in Ohio and a competitor of the possible future Huber Heights big convenience store, Buc-ee's. The United Auto Workers strike has now entered week 2 on the picket line, but for some, their strike has only just begun. At the Stellantis plant in Northeast Ohio, they are currently on their 4th day of it, and they are demanding to be treated fairly. Many there are also feeling anxiety over how long these strikes could last.
I came to work through my chemo to support my kids because that's what a hard worker does, and I give that to them, and I expect in return for somebody just to say, you know what, all those years, all these profits we've made, you know what, maybe we can give you guys a little bit more so you can go on vacation with your family for all the things that you've had to do.
As of tonight, the UAW remains at stalemate with GM, Ford, and Stellantis. Ford announcing today it's pausing work on its $3.5 billion electric vehicle battery plant in Michigan amid the strike. A spokesman for Ford says spending on the plant has been limited until the company is confident about its ability to competitively operate the plant. Now, in a statement, the president of the United Auto Workers Union called the move shameful, describing it as a threat by Ford to cut jobs at a plant that's not open yet. The plant was expected to start making batteries in 2026. And the president expressing his support for the UAW strike tonight ahead of his visit to Michigan tomorrow.
I think the UAW gave up an incredible amount back when the automobile industry was going under. They give everything from the pensions on, and they saved the automobile industry. And I think that now that the industry is roaring back, they should participate in the benefit of that.
Now, the president is expected to walk the picket line with members of the UAW. The White House press secretary emphasizing the president stands with auto workers. Still, the White House declining to weigh in on any details of the negotiations.
They deserve a fair share of the value that they helped create. That's what the president is saying. But the details, the specifics of what that looks like, what makes both sides happy or anything in those at the negotiation table, that is for them to decide.
Former President Trump also scheduled to be in Michigan one day after the president. The White House insists Biden's decision to head to the picket line had nothing to do with Trump. And we are still waiting to learn the details of an agreement between the Writers Guild of America and major Hollywood studios. Screenwriters have been striking for months. The WGA made the announcement in an email to its members last night, calling the deal exceptional. Now, the writers have been on strike since May 2nd, making this the second longest in the union's history. Now, the contract still needs to be ratified by the union's members, but in the meantime, picketing is suspended and members could return to work as soon as tomorrow. Live pictures tonight from outside the U.S. Capitol building. We're now under a week away from a potential government shutdown. That's if an agreement on a new spending bill can't be reached by this Saturday. Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and President Biden had come to a spending agreement to avoid a shutdown this past summer. Now, the president calling out a small group of Republicans who he says they don't, quote, want to live up to that deal.
Funding the government is one of the most basic fundamental responsibilities of Congress. And if the Republicans in the House don't start doing their job, we should stop electing them.
Now, House Speaker McCarthy has also made it clear he wants to avoid a shutdown. He's working to unite his caucus as some hard-right conservatives push for more spending cuts and some policy add-ons. McCarthy telling reporters today he believes they are making progress.
Well, you have to keep the government open. I mean, if people want to close the government, it only makes them weaker. Why would they want to stop paying the troops or stop paying the border agents or the Coast Guard? I don't understand how that makes you stronger. I don't understand what point you're trying to make.
Talks are expected to continue throughout this week. The White House is now warning about the potential impact of a shutdown, bringing out cabinet officials to help make their points. Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack says the shutdown would have a range of consequences on things like food programs, farmers, and national forests. He notes some recipients of the WIC program, which helps low-income women, infants, and children, will have their benefits cut off in the event of a shutdown. Vilsack also warns farmers would not be able to access certain loans as many of them harvest their crops.
Point of this is it's very simple. There are real impacts. There are real impacts to real people on a daily basis when Congress and the House and House Republicans don't do their job.
Lawmakers have until September 30th to reach that spending deal. And small business leaders are also feeling the heat around this. A new Goldman Sachs survey shows most entrepreneurs say such an outcome would hurt small business growth and innovation. 91% say a solution is critical. Another 70% believe their business would be hurt. 93% argue their revenue would dip, and at the same time, nearly all worry about government spending and the national debt. Government shutdown could mean loans from the Small Business Administration are paused. Coming up, it's been nearly 2 months since the devastating wildfires in Maui destroyed thousands of homes, claimed nearly 100 lives. Now residents of the hardest hit areas, they're coming home. And an arrest has been made after several bomb threats to a Cincinnati bridge. What we know about the suspect and the charges they could face.
Plus, rain finally on the way. I'm tracking our next weather maker that's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The FBI has tracked down a suspect in a series of bomb threats against the Roebling suspension bridge, and the person's only 14 years old and were arrested all the way in Michigan. Because of their age, there's not much police can tell us about them. Luke Jones reports.
A 14-year-old boy from Michigan is under arrest for a series of threats against the Roebling suspension bridge between Cincinnati and Covington, Kentucky. In a single week this month, the bridge had to shut down 4 times because of bomb threats. It also shut down a 5th time after someone says they saw a suspicious package. The teen was arrested in Michigan Friday on an unrelated matter. The FBI is handling this investigation, and they haven't said how they connected the boy to those bomb threats. Lots of details can't be released because he's a minor. In Cincinnati, I'm Luke Jones.
Well, El Nino will be back this winter for the first time in several years. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says it typically brings wetter and cooler weather to the south and drier and warmer conditions to the north. That could be good news for parts of the south dealing with drought, and here in Ohio, could see a milder winter than normal.
I actually got a question on my Facebook page asking about when will the first snowfall be. Kind of hard to tell at this point, but I will say heading into the winter season, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how El Nino plays a part. But for right now, we do have some cloud cover lingering across the area, and we'll continue to see some clearing as we head overnight and into the day. Tomorrow, really skies partly to mostly cloudy. Next weather maker, you could see area of low pressure spinning right over the Minneapolis area. This is going to be sliding southeastward into our region, increasing those rain chances for the middle of the week, mainly our Wednesday. So tomorrow we'll wake up to upper 50s, a little warmer to the northeast where you'll likely deal with those clouds through most of the overnight hours. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, highs in the upper 70s. And then into the day on Wednesday, scattered showers, some thunderstorms possible too. And we'll continue with some spot showers during the day on Thursday. With those storms, can't rule out a stronger storm with gusty, maybe even isolated damaging wind gusts for the day on Wednesday. So we'll be watching that closely. But how much rain we're expecting, that's coming up.
The gunman who killed 23 people at an El Paso Walmart in 2019 has now agreed to pay more than $5 million to the victim's family. However, it's not clear exactly if he has anywhere close to that amount of money for restitution. 25-year-old Patrick Crucius was sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences in July after pleading guilty to federal hate crime charges. He still faces a separate state trial where he could face the death penalty. Some Hawaii residents who survived the Maui wildfire are returning to the ashes of their homes for the first time. They're being told not to shift through the ashes or they could stir up toxic dust containing lead, asbestos, or arsenic. Many properties, they're gone. The August 8th wildfire killed at least 97 people and destroyed more than 2,000 buildings, most of them homes. And some shocking new statistics tonight showing that 343 New York City firefighters and EMTs have died from 9/11 related illnesses. That is the same number of first responders killed in the World Trade Center 22 years ago. The FDNY says they're losing 3 to 4 members each month from related illnesses brought on from the toxic fumes and dust at Ground Zero.
Many of them, when they die, they don't have a cancer, they have multiple cancers, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Now, some 11,000 FDNY members are suffering from 9/11 related illnesses. The department and advocates continue to press for more funding for the World Trade Center Health Registry. A new poll shows a majority of Americans would favor moving away from the Electoral College system. That's according to the Pew Research Center survey. It shows that nearly 2/3 of American adults say elections should be changed so that the winner of the nationwide popular vote wins the presidency. About a third favor keeping the current Electoral College system. The survey also shows Democrats are more likely than Republicans to support moving to a popular vote system for presidential elections. Now, that would have benefited Hillary Clinton in 2016. Only 5 presidents have ever won without securing the popular vote, including Donald Trump, George W. Bush, Benjamin Harrison, Rutherford B. Hayes, and John Quincy Adams all the way back in 1824. Well, it's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam over Beaver Creek tonight. Another comfortable evening. If you happen to step outside, let's check in with Natalie.
Well, it's been a cloudy day today, but I do see the moon. Skies have cleared here in Miamisburg, and we'll continue to see some clearing overnight. Clouds may hang around our northeastern counties, but by the middle of this week, we're tracking late Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not just clouds, we're also tracking rain, which is much needed. Here's a look at that drought monitor where you can see that abnormally dry conditions have taken over much of the Miami Valley. Next update will come in on Thursday, and actually will be before the rain will have fallen when they get the data on Tuesday. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of us under perhaps just drought conditions for us. But looking into this rain, this is how much we're expecting. Potentially about a half an inch of rainfall. We could see some localized heavier amounts, especially in some heavier downpours. Most of this rain is going to arrive on Wednesday. Have a look at that 7-day coming up.
The Biden administration announcing today it'll be investing billions to historically black colleges. Why the president says this is of vital importance. Also, a local man being honored for his heroic actions that ultimately cost him his life. His story just ahead. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. The Dayton unit of the NAACP hosting a Meet the Candidates forum tonight in Dayton. It'll mean that to give community members the opportunity to hear from several candidates. That includes those running for Dayton City Commission, Trotwood Mayor, and Jefferson Township Trustee.
I think it's important for people to know who they're voting for. You should go to vote with some intelligence, educated on the issues and the candidates. And this is what this forum allows us to share with the citizens where these candidates stand on various positions.
More information about the forum can be found at our website, Dayton247now.com. Just click on the web version of this story. The Biden administration says it will invest more than $7 billion into historically black colleges and universities. HBCUs, known for academic excellence and have helped increase the black middle class, but the institutions have not had the same endowments or financial resources as other colleges and universities. The president says investing is critical to their growth.
And HBCUs produce 40% of all black engineers in America, 50% of all black lawyers, 70% of all black doctors and dentists, and 80% of all black judges.
That investment will support research, infrastructure, Pell Grant increases, and student debt repayment. A Beaver Creek man was posthumously honored today with the Carnegie Medal for his heroic act. Now, the Carnegie Medal is given throughout the U.S. and Canada to those who enter extreme danger while saving or attempting to save the lives of others. Carnegie hero Anthony Deal died back on July 13, 2022, all while attempting to save his 7-year-old nephew from drowning near South Haven, Michigan. Now, the child was carried away by strong currents while playing in the shallow waters in Lake Michigan. Deal then swam to rescue the boy, but sadly, he and his nephew did not survive. Family members of Deal received the medal along with a financial grant in his honor. Well, tonight's winning Powerball jackpot numbers, they have been drawn. After the break, we'll tell you what they are and how much you could win. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.